You open this app to do one thing. Now it's 40 minutes later, that thing still isn't done, and you have a vague guilt hangover and 3 half-read articles about something you don't even care about. That loop, the pull, the drift, the shame, is not a character flaw. It is the designed outcome of systems built to exploit exactly how your attention works. By the end of this video, you're going to have the exact 3-line journal prompt that Marcus Aurelius used every morning in 170 AD, and a neuroscience-backed reason why it works specifically for ADHD brains. You'll also get a 5-minute attention reset you can use mid-afternoon when everything falls apart. Stay through to the end, because the third tactic is the one most people never hear about. Rome, 170 AD. Marcus Aurelius is managing a 2-front war on the Danube, a plague killing up to 2,000 people a day in the capital, and a senate full of political enemies. He is not meditating in a quiet room. He is writing in a military tent, probably by oil lamp, recording what went wrong yesterday and what he intends to do tomorrow. Those notes became the meditations, and they were never meant to be published. What's striking is what the entries are not. They are not grand philosophical treatises. They are short, blunt, repetitive self-corrections. You drifted. Return. Stop performing. Do the work. He wrote the same lessons to himself dozens of times across the 12 books. Modern researchers call this implementation intention, pre-committing a response to a predictable failure. Marcus just called it discipline. Here's the diagnosis of the modern problem, and it matters that you hear this clearly. ADHD is not a deficit of attention. That framing is wrong, and it makes every solution feel like punishment. ADHD is a regulation problem. The brain has difficulty directing attention voluntarily, especially toward low-stimulation tasks, because the dopamine signaling that makes effort feel rewarding is dysregulated. You have plenty of attention, you just can't always aim it. The Stoics diagnosed a parallel problem 2,000 years before the neuroscience. They called it prosouche, lack of self-attention, or the failure to watch your own mind in real time. Epictetus, who was born a slave and became one of the ancient world's most influential teachers, said the untrained mind is like a city with no gatekeeper. Every impression walks straight in and takes over. The trained mind watches the gate. The untrained mind, and this is the contrast that matters, reacts to the loudest signal in the environment. Notification? React. Discomfort? Escape. Boredom? Scroll. The Stoic practice does not ask you to feel none of those pulls. It asks you to insert a pause between the stimulus and the response. That pause is not willpower. It is a trained reflex built through specific daily repetition, and that distinction changes everything. The Stoic principle at the center of all 3 tactics is called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. The formal definition: deliberately rehearsing what will go wrong before it goes wrong, so that when it does, you already have a prepared response rather than a reactive one. The source is primarily Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, but the technique appears across all 3 major Stoic teachers. It is not pessimism, it is preparation. Seneca wrote it plainly in his letters to Lucilius, around 65 AD in Rome. Let us prepare our minds as if we had come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day. For someone with ADHD, that instruction lands differently than it does for a neurotypical reader. Postponing nothing is not a motivational phrase. It is a systems design principle. If the decision doesn't get made now, it almost certainly doesn't get made. Neuroscience backs this up with research on what's called if-then planning. A 2001 study by psychologist Peter Gallwitzer found that forming a specific implementation intention, if situation X occurs, then I will do Y, more than doubled follow-through rates compared to motivation alone. The effect was even stronger in populations with executive function challenges. The Stoics were doing structured if-then planning every single morning. So here is the rehook for where we are in this video, because this is where most people drift. You now understand why the ADHD brain struggles with voluntary attention. You understand that the Stoic solution is not willpower, it is pre-built mental responses to predicted failures. What you don't have yet are the 3 specific tactics. That's what the next section delivers. Each one takes under 10 minutes to set up. All 3 together form a daily system. So here's what you actually do about it. Tactic 1. The 3-line morning audit. This is the closest modern reconstruction of what Marcus Aurelius was doing in his tent. You do this before you open your phone, ideally within 5 minutes of waking. It takes about 3 minutes. The format is fixed. 3 lines, same prompts every single day. Consistency of format is not optional. For ADHD brains, variable prompts create decision friction that kills the habit. Line 1. What is the one task that, if done, makes today a success? Not 3 tasks. 1. The ADHD brain underspecifies goals and then experiences paralysis when choosing where to start. One task removes the choice entirely. Line 2. What will try to stop me from doing it? You name the exact obstacle, a meeting, a notification, your own avoidance. Naming it diffuses its ambush power. Line 3. When specifically will I do it and for how long? Time and duration. No open-ended blocks. That third line is where the implementation intention lives. Not, I will work on the report, but I will work on the report from 9 to 9:45 a.m. at the kitchen table with my phone in the other room. The specificity is the mechanism. Your brain stops redeciding and starts executing a pre-decided plan. Marcus Aurelius didn't wake up and ask himself what kind of emperor to be that day. He had already written the answer. Tactic 2. The 5-minute attention reset. This is for the 2 p.m. collapse, the moment when everything you planned has drifted and you're either scrolling, snacking, or staring. The reset is not a pep talk. It is a physical and mental protocol, and it takes exactly 5 minutes. Do not shorten it. The full 5 minutes is what creates the state change. Step 1. Stand up and move for 90 seconds. Not exercise, movement. Walk to the window, do 10 slow neck rolls, stand outside for a moment. This is not wellness theater. Movement acutely elevates dopamine and norepinephrine, the exact neurotransmitters that are dysregulated in ADHD. Step 2. Spend 90 seconds rereading your morning line 1, the single task. Step 3. Spend 2 minutes doing a 1-question audit. What is the smallest possible next action on that task? Then do only that action. The Stoic source for this reset is Epictetus, Discourses Book 2, written around 108 AD in Nicopolis, Greece. He described what he called the return, the act of noticing you have drifted from your intended purpose and returning without self-condemnation. He was emphatic on the without self-condemnation part. Shame does not restore focus. Shame is just more noise. The return is neutral, factual, and immediate. This is actually one of the most clinically validated insights in ADHD treatment. Self-critical thinking after a focus failure activates the same stress circuits that caused the failure in the first place, creating a spiral. Acceptance-based refocusing, which is essentially what Epictetus prescribed, shows significantly better outcomes in attention restoration research. The Stoics didn't have fMRI machines. They had very careful observation of how minds actually behave. Tactic 3 is the one most people never implement, and it is the most powerful for long-term attention training. It's called the evening obstacle review, and it comes directly from premeditatio malorum. Most people do their reflection after the day. They log what happened. The Stoic version runs the next day in advance, the night before. You're not journaling about today, you are stress testing tomorrow. The format: write down the one task from tomorrow morning's line 1. Yes, you fill it in the night before. Then write, the moment most likely to derail this is blank. Be specific. Is it the 10 a.m. meeting that runs long? The moment after lunch when you feel foggy? The notification from a specific person? Then write, when that happens, I will blank. Full sentence, specific action. This is your pre-built response. Marcus Aurelius did a version of this every night in the Meditations. Book 10, Entry 1. He lists the obstacles he expects from the people around him, their pettiness, their ingratitude, their distraction, and pre-decides his response. He is not surprised when they behave badly because he already simulated it. For ADHD brains, surprise is one of the primary hijackers of executive function. Remove the surprise, and you reduce the hijack. Put all 3 together, and you have a complete daily architecture. Morning, 3-line audit, 1 task, 1 obstacle, 1 time block. Afternoon, 5-minute reset, move, reread, smallest next action. Evening, obstacle review, pre-simulate tomorrow's failure point, write the response. Total time investment, under 15 minutes per day. You are not adding a productivity system on top of your life. You are replacing reactive chaos with pre-decided structure. One honest warning before you close this video. These tactics will feel easy on day 1 and irrelevant by day 4. That is not a sign they don't work. That is the ADHD novelty curve. New things feel engaging, familiar things feel boring, and the brain starts seeking the next new thing. Marcus Aurelius wrote the same self-corrections dozens of times across 12 books because he knew this. The return is the practice. The return is the whole practice. The Stoics did not promise focus would become easy. They promised it would become more deliberate. There is a meaningful difference. Easy means the distraction disappears. Deliberate means you have a practiced response ready when it arrives, and it will always arrive. That is the actual goal. Not a mind that never drifts, but a mind that knows how to return. You now have 3 specific tools that make the return faster, cheaper, and less shameful. If you're going to start with just one tactic, start with the 3-line morning audit. Do it for 7 consecutive days before you add the others. Write in a physical notebook if you can. The research on handwriting versus typing for memory and coding is not ambiguous. And if you miss a day, reread Epictetus. The return is neutral, factual, and immediate. That applies to habits as much as it applies to a single afternoon. See you in the next one.